Hello everyone, welcome to another episode from the Eliminate Cancer Foundation. My name is R Asiimwe, a member of Eliminate Cancer Foundation Uganda. Today we are going to be talking about leukemia, just informing each one of you about leukemia. Leukemia is a cancer of blood. Is a cancer of blood-forming tissues, especially the bone marrow. Leukemia begins right from the bone marrow, and it is in the bone marrow where blood cells are made. Some of these blood cells include white blood cells, red blood cells, platelets, and others. So leukemia is basically caused by problems in the bone marrow. Leukemia can actually have symptoms, and the symptoms actually the symptoms occur in rapidly growing leukemia, while the slow-growing type of leukemia may not have symptoms, but in some few cases it will have symptoms. And some of the symptoms could be feeling tired, feeling weak, cold, dizzy, lightheaded, having a pale skin, shortness of breath, and just these few I've mentioned as a result of having a low red blood cell count. Just like before I said, leukemia is to do with a problem with the bone marrow, and it's the bone marrow where these red blood cells are formed. So when the red blood cells are low, someone is likely to face the feeling tired, weak, cold, and the pale skin. Another symptom that result due to the lack of the normal white blood cells in a person are infections and fevers. And we know fever is a main sign of infection, though some children might have a fever even without an infection. But for leukemia, it is common since there will be a low number of normal white blood cells, so this body cannot fight against infections or fight against germs. So the baby or any adult is likely to be having infection after infection. And these infections never seem to go away because they are either immature white blood cells that cannot fight against these infections. Then also, someone with leukemia will frequently bleed, easily bruise, and also have maybe bleeding gums. And this is due to the low blood platelet count. So, some of those signs can actually give a highlight. Some of these signs can actually give a highlight for leukemia. So another sign could be the bone or joint pain, which is due to the buildup of the leukemia cells in the surface of the bone inside the joint. So when just some of those signs are noticed around a child, since just to inform you that leukemia is the cancer that is most common in children. So if these signs are noticed, whether in a child, adult, elderly, quickly please seek medical attention for any diagnosis. And basically, if someone with those symptoms go to a health facility, a few tests could be done. There could be a blood test, which could be a complete blood cell count. Then also maybe a blood smear to look for the unusual size, or immature cells could be done. Then also bone marrow biopsy could be done as a confirmatory test. And in the bone marrow test, marrow is taken from the pelvic bone with a long needle, and this is to determine how severe the leukemia is. So when it has come to conclusion that it is actually leukemia, of course, treatment has to be management, on how to manage this leukemia. So depending on how severe it is, chemotherapy could be how it will be managed, or biological therapy. So for chemotherapy, it being the major treatment, it kills these cancer cells. So as it is killing these cancer cells, it is killing even other cells like white blood cells. So anyone with leukemia is susceptible to any infection, just a slight flu, the patient will be sick. So it is very keen to watch a leukemia patient's lifestyle, how clean. Any flu to try and see that this patient is in very good condition, such that any other infections cannot come in and affect. And also, sometimes as trying to manage the leukemia, biological therapy could be used. Here. It is basically treatment like tablets that help the immune system recognize and attack the cancer cells. So in this process, like I said, treatment depends on how severe the cancer is. So if it is not very severe, just treatments can help the immune system recognize and attack these cells. So if they're attacked, of course, they're going to keep dying. But if it is at a certain stage, chemotherapy will have to come in. So this is why I call upon early checkup. Immediately the signs surface, early checkup. Anyone should be taken, maybe to Uganda Cancer Institute or to a health facility, to at least try to assess if it is really leukemia. And the beauty with children is that children have the ability to handle a large consumption of chemotherapy than the adults. This is because the adults have other primary diseases, maybe I should say like diabetes, hypertension, and you know, if someone is undergoing is on drugs for diabetes, it will affect the effectiveness of cancer drugs. So that is why children are at a better advantage as far as chemotherapy is concerned. So I call upon each of us to participate in the sensitization. Since a lot of sensitization is needed for people to actually know that cancer is real. It's not just witchcraft. And most importantly, it can actually be cured. And since it can be cured, the early, the better. So when it is very early, it is detected at a better stage where maybe just biological therapy is given rather than going for mainly chemotherapy. Then also there is radiation therapy, stem cell transplant, and the stem cell transplant, it has actually been proven that we can treat leukemia using this stem cell transplant, and it is being done. So people should not be out there and lose hope that leukemia cannot actually be healed. It is possible for us to heal leukemia. And just to note, leukemia, the main cause of leukemia, very specifically, is not known. But leukemia comes as a result of mutations that occur after birth. And there are a number of forces that could actually trigger these mutations. So we connect that these factors are the ones that lead to leukemia. And some of these could be smoking, exposure to radiation of certain chemicals, maybe like, I should say, if it is a farmland and someone is using pesticides, then also other carcinogenic chemicals. And then it could also be to a genetic disorder like Down syndrome. In Down syndrome, there's an extra chromosome. So that is already alteration of the genetic matter of the bone marrow. So of course, the functionality of the bone marrow is actually altered. And if it is altered, meaning there will be a problem with the bone marrow, and therefore leukemia can actually result. So I call upon each of us to really look out for each other. And also, as we're taking care of these patients, we need to be very understanding as much as possible. Understanding and patient with them. And it is important for us to encourage physical activity for the leukemia patient. The patient is able to stay physically strong by walking and staying active. This can actually give hope that the patient will be fine someday, because leukemia can be treated. It can be treated. That is the most important thing. Then also, it is our duty to find creative ways to help these patients keep motivated. And as they keep motivated, this will maintain their strength and endure as well. And also it boosts their mood. You see how you look at a patient and they have completely lost hope. They've completely lost hope. Because if someone has lost hope, someone is hopeless, there's less confidence. Of course, now stigma will set in. So we as people need to do that psychosocial support, that to give hope to these people that they can actually live. So please let each of us be a champion for this leukemia patient, for any cancer patient. Perhaps the most important thing is to advocate for cancer patient. I call upon each one of us to stand together in this fight and prove that life lived for others is not lived in vain. Thank you very much. Have a blessed time as you listen.